I'm excited to stand here today with Governor Cuomo for the historic opening of the TWA Hotel. First, we will hear from Governor Cuomo after myself, and then we'll take a break to cut the ribbon for today's grand opening. Then we'll hear from Rick Cotton, the Executive Director of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Queensborough President Melinda Katz, President of the Hotel Trades Council, my friend Peter Ward, CEO of JetBlue, my friend Robin Hayes, and finally, City Council Speaker Corey Johnson. I'd also like to recognize a couple of special guests that we have with us here today. From the Port Authority Board of Commissioners, Chairman Kevin O'Toole, Vice Chair Jeffrey Linford, Daniel Horwitz, George McDonald, and Rosanna Rosado. We'd also like to welcome our brothers and sisters from Labor today and the members of the JFK Redevelopment Community Advisory Council. So good morning. I am thrilled to be here today. This is a very exciting day for me and for our team at MCR. We're here to cut the ribbon today on the restoration of the TWA Flight Center, an extraordinary building in American history. This architectural masterwork has been closed and dormant for almost 20 years. The structure is a testament to the men and women of Trans World Airlines, one of the pioneers of modern aviation. This is where it all started, where the jet age came of age. JFK was the biggest airport in the world when it was built, 6,000 acres. It ushered in an age of travel that we all now enjoy. We travel for work, we travel for play, we travel to see friends and family. The birth of the jet age here in New York City framed our modern world. This TWA Flight Center was built by Howard Hughes and Eero Saarinen as a cathedral to aviation. We lovingly have restored this magnificent structure to its glorious opening in 1962. Eero Saarinen said he wanted to express the excitement of air travel. And this building captures that excitement in every pore, in every curve, in every swooping movement. But this project is much more than a building. We also wanted to bring back the spirit of a wonderful era. The year was 1962. Kennedy was president. It was Camelot. John Glenn had just circled the earth. James Bond did his first film that year, Dr. No. Spider-Man came out that year. The Beatles were on the hi-fi. The Boeing 707 had revolutionized air travel. The supersonic jet was in development. The World War was behind us. We hadn't yet gotten into drugs or assassinations or hippies. The microwave oven was now in consumer reach. Ford came out with the Mustang. Andy Warhol painted his famous Campbell's soup can. Kennedy announced we'd have a person on the moon by the end of the decade. America, New York City was looking skyward, and this building embodies that spirit. We wanted to capture the ethos of that era and infuse it back into this hotel at Idlewild Airport. But let me tell you, and I'm going to be honest with you, this is a crazy project. I met with Mayor Mike Bloomberg at the very beginning of this project, and he looked at me across the breakfast table and he said, "You're crazy." He said, "Don't do this." But look around you. Look at this building. I was drawn in, as all of you today here have been. I was sucked into the magnificence of the TWA Flight Center. I'm here today to say thank you. Thank you to a lot of people. But before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about the TWA Hotel and the TWA project and what our wonderful team has created. We built 3 buildings and restored the Saarinen building that we're sitting in now. So what is the TWA Hotel? It is 512 guest rooms. Each one has a 5-inch thick curtain wall glass, 7 panes of glass, the second thickest curtain wall ever manufactured. A 50,000 square foot event center with 45 meeting rooms. It was all dug out right behind us in the space between the tubes. And the airplane is actually sitting on the roof of that building. We dug down 40 feet, 32 feet below the water table, dewatered the site at 4,000 gallons a minute for 9 months, 24/7. That's a swimming pool every 8 minutes to keep the hydrostatic pressure away. We have a 200,000 square foot lobby, You're sitting in it. It's the largest in the world, and we have a 66,000 square foot roof. It's the same size as the roof of Madison Square Garden, yet it's totally columnless space. It's the largest columnless volume in the world. This is really the eighth wonder of the world. We have a museum to the jet age, mid-century modern greats, in the history of TWA in partnership with the New York Historic Society. We have a 10,000 square foot fitness center, the largest hotel gym in the world. We have a Spanish Bosque over on the corner of the site with Central Park-like seating and a 1963 coffee van in it. We have a rooftop infinity edge pool that was inspired by the Hotel du Cap in Cap d'Antibes in the south of France. Yet instead of seeing the Mediterranean over the edge of the infinity edge, you see runway 4 left and 22 right. To some people, that's more beautiful than the Mediterranean. We restored 100,000 square feet of Saarinen's penny tile. You see it all around you. It crawls up the walls. There's no right angles in this building. Take a look. It's really an extraordinary feat. We built our own power plant for this project. We're completely off the grid. This is the greenest building in the entirety of New York City. We use battery storage. We use battery storage to power the campus. It's never been done before in an off-grid situation in the United States. We basically have a Tesla on the roof of our building. We created our own font for this project, based on the design of Eero Saarinen in his architectural drawings. We call it Flight Center Gothic. We created our own pencil program. We manufactured 375,000 pencils in Shelbyville, Tennessee at the Musgrave Pencil Factory. We ordered 600 Western Electric's rotary dial phones on eBay. And we converted every single one of them to a voice over IP phone. It has a pulse to tone converter box and then a tone to voice over IP. So you can do your Chase banking on the rotary dial phone. We commissioned Solari de Udine to build the replacement split flap boards that you see behind us. They made the original split flap boards in 1962, and they were thrilled to be a part of this project again. Very hard to find those. There are coffee cup holders outside of every room, so you no longer have to fumble around in your pockets for your keys and balance your coffee in your other hand. All of our electrical outlets are at waist level, so no more crawling around on the floor to try to plug in your phone. We moved the mixing valve on the showers to the entry side of the shower, so now you don't have to put your hand under the water to test the temperature of the water. Our guest room millwork was all made in Amish, Ohio by master craftsman Eli Yoder. We shared pork chops together in Ohio. We didn't use the cheap Chinese alternative, and most of the Saarinen building millwork was made right here in Queens. We created a custom manhole program for the 73 manholes that we have here on site. I was really tired of seeing the word sewer and Port Authority drainage when I looked down as I walked across the sidewalk. We found a terrific cast iron foundry in Louisville, Kentucky, J.R. Ho. We have the fastest Wi-Fi of any hotel in the United States, 5 gigabits, and we're working on being the first 5G hotel in the United States as well. Our guest check-in is totally automated, so you can use the keyless entry coming soon. JFK now has valet parking, which it never had before. We manufactured 200,000 swizzle sticks out of non-plastic straw material, of course. We pioneered the use of Bradford Airport logistics to run our central receiving and distribution here, the first for a hotel and for Bradford. This will take 280 truck trips off of the JFK roads every day. We have a John George restaurant in partnership with Taste on the Fly on the upper mezzanine up there in the former Paris Cafe space. How appropriate. We have Intelligentsia Coffee throughout the building. We partnered with the Gerber Group to run 3 different outlets, the Connie behind us right here, the Sunken Lounge, and our observation and pool deck. We have a food hall with 12 venues. 5 retailers are here on site as well: Shinola, Warby Parker, Phaedon Books, Blade, Helicopters, and our own TWA retail store. Hopefully you'll see some of the TWA sneakers that we created. They're running around all over the place right now. Thank you to American Airlines who worked with us on the TWA trademark. And of course, Connie, our vintage 1958 Constellation airplane. The plane has a great history. This plane right here flew for TWA in 1958, November 8083H, or Hotel as they say in the Zulu language, I think is quite appropriate. It was an Alaskan bush plane after it was retired from TWA. Then the plane was sold to some South American drug dealers. And the plane ran drugs around South America for about 10 years. But thank God for the drug dealers, because they installed a giant cargo door in the back of the plane so they could airdrop the weed over the landscape, and they could put it in via forklift. But that giant entry is now our ADA entrance to the plane. The drug dealers actually ran the plane into a ditch in San Pedro Sula, Honduras. One drug dealer sold it to another for $150 on an as-is, where-is basis. Said, if you can get it out of the ditch, you can have it. It was eventually ferried to Florida and then to Maine, where it was repossessed by the feds from a guy who didn't pay his taxes. It was auctioned at a federal auction to Lufthansa. Lufthansa then parted it for a while. We bought it from Lufthansa, so thank you to Arthur Mullins for making this happen. She has a lot of other great stories that I won't tell you all today. Some of you may have seen her coming down the eastern seaboard through Maine, from Maine, and some of you may have seen her on the Throgs Neck Bridge. She was there for a little while, and in Times Square just a couple of months ago. So thank you to 75 of New York's bravest for helping to make that happen. Connie is now a cocktail bar. She's now a cocktail bar, and she has a live feed of the JFK Air Traffic Control Tower in the cockpit of the plane. So the kids can pull on the yoke, push the throttles, and have fun and feel like they're taking a trip right on our plane. So how did we pull this all together? It took a lot of hard work. 7,000 people worked on this project in 178 different companies. We worked with 14 preservationist groups, 22 government agencies. We participated in 18 workforce employment programs. We did an environmental assessment with the FAA. We went through the New York City ULURP process. Thank you to Queens CB 10, 12, and 13 for their unanimous support in bringing this project back to life. Our team at MCR has done an incredible job at coordinating this effort. We're very proud to have delivered this project 2.5 years after we started construction. Contea Chitness, William White, and Jamie Zanziger coordinated a massive effort to pull the development and creative side of this project together. Jason Garone, right here in the front row, did a spectacular job in leading the construction of this project, worked tirelessly with Sylvie Blondeau, Antonia Botero, and Pete Foster. The Turner construction team did a great job from start to finish, and I'd like to personally thank Gary McCassie, Vinny Masucci, Janice Camarillo, and Peter Daverin. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Gus Galitos and his team, who did multiple construction projects, one of which is a 4-month construction project that he completed in 3 weeks. Carlos Gomez, Marty Batura, Roger Jarman restored Connie to her best self, and also did quite a great job of dragging her all over the eastern seaboard. Eric Palmer got the hotel ready to open, hired a great operating team to get the TWA Hotel ready for action. We worked with 9 law firms on this project, but the best lawyer of them all is and always will be Stephen Lefkowitz. Overall, we created 4,000 jobs on the project. We had a 17% MWBE goal, and we're very proud to have hit 22% MWBE participation. For permanent hiring, we had 11,000 people apply to work at the TWA Hotel. We hired 77% minorities, and 49% of our hires were from the great borough of Queens. Thank you, Mayor. The TWA Hotel will be LEED Gold certified as well. We did all of this with 100% private dollars. There was no government funds put into this project at all. But let me tell you, it took a village to put this project together. Our friends at the Port Authority were terrific partners. I told Pat Foy and I've told Rick Cotton that I would do an infomercial for the Port Authority. They are terrific people. Don Free and Jim Stephen were a part of this project from day one for the past 5 years. The Resident Engineer's Office, PAPD, and the hundreds of wonderful men and women at the Port Authority were invaluable partners in pulling off a complicated project. The City of New York, the Economic Development Corporation, the EDC, did a great job and were supportive in the ground lease process. Our design and architecture team, led by Richard Southwick of Buyer Blender Bell, has been a great ally. He's been the architect of record for this project for 24 years, 20 with the Port and 4 for us. And Anne-Marie Lubrano did a great job at executing a very complex project. I'd like to thank the 14 members of the Redevelopment Advisory Committee. They've been working on this project for 15 years, since 2004, and getting through the Secretary of the Interior Section 106 process of the National Historic Preservation Act. Some of those firms include the Municipal Art Society, the New York Landmarks Conservancy, the National Trust for Historic Preservation, the Advisory Council on Historic Properties, the FAA, the State Office of Historic Properties, the SHPO, the Port Authority, and the Finnish Embassy that had a seat at the table because Eero Saarinen is arguably the world's most famous Finn. And so the legacy of Finns worldwide are tied up in the restoration of this project. There were 36 meetings over the course of 15 years, and congratulations to the preservationist community for your great work in saving this building from a bulldozer in 1994. This building is the youngest. This building is the youngest building to ever be landmarked. There's an unwritten rule that you got to be 50 years old to get landmarking status. This building was landmarked at age 32, so it was really a child prodigy. But it was a big deal because when TWA was faltering, people wanted to take the building down. So I'd like to thank especially Beth Cummings from the New York State SHPO, who was always a steadfast believer in this project. JetBlue is a tremendous partner and believer from day one. Thank you, Robin, for never taking down the TWA letters that are on top of this building. It kept the flame alive. And I'd like to thank my partners at MCR, Chris Cornick, Rush Shatton, Kim Janney, without whom none of this would be possible. And most significantly, I'd like to thank my creative partner in everything, my lovely wife, Rebecca. This project has often been referred to as our third child, and that baby is all grown up now. Thank you for your support and dedication, creativity, you're the best. And to our girls, Georgia and Phoebe, thank you for your help with the electrical work. Don't tell Local 3. And for allowing TWA to be a part of our family. I look forward to a Shirley Temple very soon. Thank you all for coming today to open the TWA Hotel and to reimagine our future by restoring Eero Saarinen's 1962 vision. Up, up, and away with TWA. I now have the great honor of introducing a leader who has made infrastructure investments in the Empire State central to his administration. He's doubled down on his commitment to modernize our transportation hubs, recognizing that they are true economic engines. We are fortunate to have an ally for JFK and the Flight Center Hotel in Albany. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Wow, wow, wow. What a great day. How beautiful is this? First, to Tyler Morse, I need a moment to digest everything he said because it was spectacular and a tad different. So I'm going to hold him for last. But first, to Robin Hayes and JetBlue. JetBlue has been such a great partner to New York in everything we do. Whenever we need a friend, whenever we need someone to step up to the plate, whether it's the hurricane at Puerto Rico, whatever it is, bringing assistance. JetBlue has been a phenomenal New York partner. Robin Hayes, thank you very much. To the Port Authority, Rick Cotton, who I refer to as Moses, not the Moses of the Bible. He thought that's what I meant the first time, that it was age discrimination. But Robert Moses, he's going to go down in the history books as a modern-day Robert Moses. Rick Cotton. Chairman Kevin O'Toole of the Port Authority, who's been a great partner. It's worked for New York, it's worked for New Jersey, and that's when the port works at its best. Kevin O'Toole, thank you very much. Melinda Katz, who is from a different cast of elected officials. Elected officials tend to shy away from controversy. And you can't have change without disruption. And disruption brings controversy. And politicians tend to play it safe. Melinda Katz is a different breed. And we have done great things all throughout Queens that have caused disruption, but have made the borough a better borough. And that's what she was elected to do, and that's what she's done. Melinda Katz. Peter Ward, who is the most progressive labor leader in the state of New York, and shows that you can both be progressive and intelligent at the same time. They are not mutually exclusive. Peter Ward, thank you for being a progressive leader. Thank you for being an intelligent leader who gets things done. Peter Ward. And we have the great New York City Council Speaker, Corey Johnson. Pleasure to be with you, Mr. Corey Johnson. 2 weeks, he has stopped smoking, and we applaud that. He's in a very bad mood, so if he's nasty in his comments, please excuse him and understand. Mr. Tyler Morse, I'm still trying to process this. See, first of all, I can't refer to a terminal as a sexy terminal. That would then raise all sorts of follow-up questions. Is it a male terminal? Is it a female terminal? What's the sexual orientation of the terminal? How do you touch the terminal? It would be a whole complicated thing. I could not say, thank God for the drug dealers. You know, that quote they would take, and I would then be the former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo. I understand what you meant about Connie, the airplane, but I can't say. You can say, thank God for drug dealers dropping weed. I am not at that state yet. I want you to know. But even you have to be careful what you say, because as soon as you said that, I saw them walking onto the plane with drug-sniffing dogs. So I really hope you clean that plane very, very, very well, because that can be an issue. The details and the creativity were stupendous. I never thought of waist-height electric outlets before. That is very creative. Unless, of course, you touch it with your belt buckle and then get automatically electrocuted. But besides that, I think it's a great idea. I don't really know what you meant about the 300 pencils, but I'm sure there was something very creative in that also. Taking the Port Authority name off the manhole covers was not a good idea. They are the landlord. And I hope they didn't take offense. You will know the next time you see your lease increase whether or not they took offense to that. But the attention to detail is everything. And you have brought, and your entire team, a creativity, a brilliance to this project that is evident, and one of the things that's going to make it internationally spectacular. God bless you. Tyler Morris. Now, for all you business types, and I can tell by the suit and the tie and government types, this is a smart, smart project, beyond the creativity and the symbolism. It's a smart economic project. And maybe Mayor Mike Bloomberg didn't get it when you talked to him about it, but that was at a different point in time. This is smart economically because you are first in and you are on the cusp. You are on the cusp of an entire JFK renovation. $13 billion coming into JFK. It is going to be a different airport, new gates opening 2023, and it is going to be what New York deserves, which is the front door for an international community to come and visit and do business, and you got there first, and that is economically smart. And the $268 million investment that your private partners made is going to be returned in dividends because you were smart on the cusp of this new airport. And it's not just this new airport, because as you know, we are in the birth of an entirely new transformation for the state of New York. No state in the nation is rebuilding the way the state of New York is, over $150 billion. Why? Because we got tired of hearing the federal government saying they were going to get into the infrastructure and rebuilding business and do nothing. When you think about it, this country, this state, is a built environment. What made us who we are and what we are is what we built. This was not a case of evolution. New York was daring, meets skill, meets competence, meets vision, and we went and we did it. We built a nation, we built a state. And somewhere along the way, we lost that confidence and that energy. And now we have a federal government saying, I'm going to invest $1.5 trillion, now $2 trillion. I haven't seen 50 cents from the federal government, okay? But New Yorkers' way is not to wait. Right? We make our own future, we make our own history, we make our own destiny. And we have a $150 billion program, the largest infrastructure program in the United States. A new JFK, $8 billion for a new LaGuardia Airport, the first new airport in the United States in 25 years. Just think about that, not since the Denver Airport opened have we opened a new airport. And it's going to happen here in New York with LaGuardia. And it should be happening here in New York with LaGuardia. We rebuilt the upstate airports. We're building a new Penn Station. We just did congestion pricing to finance mass transit, so we have a mass transit system that New Yorkers deserve. We're rebuilding the Van Wyck Expressway, the Kew Gardens interchange, rebuilding the Long Island Railroad with a new second and third track and 59 new stations, an air train from LaGuardia into Manhattan, doubling the size of Javits Center, so we once again have a convention center that's going to attract people from all over the world. That is all happening, and that is being done. And I talked about New York being the place of inspiration and the place of vision. And somewhere along the way, we lost it, but we're rekindling it. And we always had places that reminded us of the boldness and the vision. When you go over the George Washington Bridge, to me, it is such an inspiration. You look at the size, you look at the power of the George Washington Bridge, and you say, wow, what vision they had, what courage they had to do this. Every bridge we built, every tunnel we built, longer than the first, more ambitious than the first. The New York City subway system, 600 miles of underground track we built. The Unisphere in Queens, we had a World's Fair. With all due respect, not in Manhattan, but in the great borough of Queens, I say as a Queens boy. And that's what the Unisphere reminds us of. Empire State Building in the middle of a Great Depression. You had people who had enough confidence to say, I still believe, and they invested in the Empire State Building. And you had this TWA Hotel, opened 1962. I remember it as a kid, coming to JFK and seeing this building and saying, wow, wow, that's different, that's visionary, that's cool. And it was ahead of its time, and it was New York's vision and creativity and boldness and outside of the box thinking that made New York, New York. That's who we are. The rest of the country looks at us and says, well, you New Yorkers are a little different. You know what? We're a little different. And that's what made New York what it is. That's why New York has always been the state that led the nation in firsts, in reforms, in turnarounds, and led the nation in troubled times. When the nation needed to find the direction forward, you could always look at New York, and New York pointed the way forward. This rebirth says, yes, we can. We haven't lost our imagination, our boldness, our creativity, our daring. We are still one step ahead of everyone else. You want to know where the future is going to lead? Look to the state of New York. The best is yet to be, and this hotel is a beautiful example. Thank you, and congratulations to all of you involved in making it a reality.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now cut the ribbon. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rick Cotton.
Good morning. I'm Rick Cotton, Executive Director of the Port Authority, and I'm delighted to welcome everyone here. As I'm sure all of you can appreciate, Governor Cuomo has a very, very busy and hectic schedule, and he has had to move to another event. But I do want to welcome everyone here on behalf of the Port Authority, and it's not only to this ribbon cutting, but to the airport itself. This is truly an exciting day for the Port Authority. This morning's ribbon cutting represents a major achievement both for our partners at the TWA Hotel, bravo Tyler, and for the airport. Adding a world-class hotel to JFK represents a major step forward in providing a hugely significant passenger amenity. But it is also one of the first signs of what's to come in terms of a 21st century unified John F. Kennedy International Airport. I do want to thank the elected officials and community leaders who are with us today. Your leadership and support is critical as we advance our agenda at JFK. I want to thank Chairman O'Toole, who has been a valued and committed partner in moving the Port Authority's agenda forward, and I also want to thank, as you've heard, the Port Authority commissioners who came here today for this event. I also want to acknowledge Huntley Lawrence, the Port Authority's Director of Aviation, and his colleague Jim Stevens, who have been instrumental in moving this forward. And I also want to recognize the Port Authority's Chief Engineer, Jim Sterace, who was also critical, and their colleagues. But we are here to celebrate the opening of the TWA Hotel, the Port Authority's newest major lessee at JFK Airport. It is truly an iconic development, and we won't hold your comment against you, Tyler. It's also a key part of the broader agenda of the $13 billion redevelopment of JFK that Governor Cuomo announced last October. And of course, as the governor noted, this is part of his $100 billion statewide infrastructure program. More than 90% of the $13 billion transformation at JFK will come from private sources, leveraged by $1 billion of direct Port Authority scarce capital, and that is how we approach every capital project. It will actually be the largest single transportation infrastructure commitment in the 98-year history of the Port Authority. The overarching framework here is that the Port Authority has the largest capital plan in its history. It is driving the largest airport investment in the Port Authority's history, with more than $25 billion of public and private construction. And we are doing, not talking. At the beginning of last year, we opened the new West Garage at LaGuardia. In October of last year, we broke ground on the new Terminal 1 at Newark. Also in October, Governor Cuomo announced the $13 billion JFK project. In December, we opened new gates and an entire new concourse at LaGuardia, and today the opening of the TWA Hotel. So buckle up, reserve time on your calendar. We have stockpiled lots of ribbon, and we will be seeing you regularly at our airports, not just for travel, but for celebrating future construction milestones. The new JFK, if I can highlight it, will provide best-in-class customer experience from curb to gate. We are benchmarking against global airport quality standards. Our goal is to get JFK out of the basement of airport rankings and into the top tier, targeting a ranking as a top 10 global airport. JetBlue, Robin Hayes, we're grateful, and the Terminal 1 Group are committed to major new international terminals in the north and south. American Airlines will be transforming its Terminal 8, and the master plan will produce an integrated and transformed JFK. As is the case for each of our major redevelopment projects, we are fully committed to a robust community development program at JFK, and we have adopted the governor's best in the nation 30% minority and women-owned business goal. We have a strong community advisory committee chaired by Queensborough President Melinda Katz, who you will hear from in a moment, and Congressman Greg Meeks. And we have a new community outreach office in Jamaica, Queens. We are committed to assuring that the Queens community benefits from our project through jobs, through business opportunities, and through extensive consultation with the community. And the TWA Hotel is leading the way. Congratulations, Tyler, on $50 million of MWBE contracts and on hiring 50%, just under 50% of the employees from Queens, and I think it's particularly impressive that you have hired half of those from the immediate surrounding Southeast Queens neighborhood. The overall JFK project will not have the usual government timeline of forever. We want the first gates opening in 2022, 4 years, with a completion date of 2025. So today we celebrate the TWA Hotel with the commitment that our $13 billion JFK redevelopment project is coming hard on its heels. And we look forward to celebrating with all of you and with the region a steady stream of JFK milestones as we move JFK from back of the pack to a 21st century world-class gem.